back. Just make sure how much time I've got. So we have 8 questions. Like some of them, there's sort of follows to them, and like I said, devolution, cost of living, Mackenzie pipeline, those kinds of things. So, did you have any questions for me before we fire away, or?
No.
Okay.
Let's go.
So it's pre-taped, so if you want to start again, just feel free to start again. And
Sure.
if you want clarification on the question, just ask, and we can roll away.
Sounds good.
And yeah, so sorry, I'm all out of breath because I was rushing back from.
Oh, I was actually running to get here on time too, so I was dropping off a sign at somebody's place.
Yeah,
and
they've just sort of bloomed overnight, all the signs, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, it's going to seem kind of funny, but I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself a couple of times. So
Sure.
just say who you are, which party you're running for, and anything else you want to say to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Eli Purchase, and I am running for the Green Party here in the Northwest Territories.
Okay, so I'll ask you the first question, and then I might ask you to introduce yourself again, just so we can maybe use them a couple of different times mixed in with the tape. So.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start with a question on devolution.
Yeah.
I suppose you know a lot. The context of this is that a lot of Aboriginal groups have not been very happy with the way things move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you be prepared to move forward on a devolution agreement without the support of all the Aboriginal groups?
I think any agreements put in place have to have the support of everybody in the Northwest Territories. This is something that is going to affect all residents. It needs to have the support of all residents.
Okay. And so how satisfied are you with the current agreement in principle that's sort of on the table right now?
Well, realistically, I think the Northwest Territories should be getting full control on all resource management, like everything. We should have provincial status. Why the heck not? But obviously, we can't get everything that we want. It's a good start. I think through consultation with the people of the Northwest Territories, we'll be able to find something that everybody can work with.
Okay. And I'll just move on to a question about the cost of living. So we know it's high in the Territories. What are you prepared to do to address the cost of living in the Territory if you get to Ottawa?
I've lived in the Northwest Territories all my life. I know how expensive it is to live up here. I lived in the Eastern Arctic for a number of years, and when you get into the communities, we think it's expensive here in Yellowknife. It is so much more expensive in the communities. What I plan to do is we need to take a look at the Northern Living Allowances, make sure that it's actually up to snuff for what people need. That's something that we can do in the short term. In the long term, 2 of our biggest costs are heating oil and diesel fuel for generators. The only way to reduce those costs is to move to more sustainable, renewable resource types of energy, such as hydro, and we need to be investing in those types of renewable energy. And another example would be like the Con Mine geothermal project. The federal government needs to be supplying additional funds because it's going to reduce people's cost of living in the future, in the long term.
Okay, great. And I have a question about the Mackenzie pipeline. Should there be federal support for the Mackenzie gas project?
I think with a project that large, you need to have the support of all levels of government. The federal government needs to be ensuring that all the recommendations of the National Energy Board are being followed. It needs to be providing financial support, maybe not necessarily for the pipeline specifically, but a road needs to be built. An all-weather road needs to be built up the Mackenzie Valley to connect those communities year-round. And perhaps if the federal government isn't going to be putting forward monies specifically for the pipeline, a road's going to need to be built to build that pipeline. So there are ways that the federal government can be supporting it, not explicitly but implicitly.
Okay. I think one of the things that the companies are looking for is loan guarantees. Is that something you'd support?
The oil and gas industry is one of the most profitable industries on the planet. These companies are raking in billions and billions and billions of dollars. I think that they should be able to finance these projects. They've got tons of money for exploration and whatnot. I don't see that the federal government should be explicitly guaranteeing loans and things like that if a company decides to start a project and then halfway through not go through with it.
Okay. And we know, for example, that one of the things underway in the territory is a review of the regulatory regime for development. So we're wondering what your position is on the streamlining of review boards.
Any projects that take place in the Northwest Territories need to look at not only an economic cost, but also a social and an environmental cost. We need to look at these three separate things. If streamlining allows us to do that in a more effective way, then that's something that should be looked at. Bottom line, though, is any changes need to have the support of the people of the Northwest Territories. They're the people who these changes are going to affect. They need to be informed, consented with, and supportive.
Okay. My next question is on childcare. So what is the best way to support the childcare needs of Northerners?
The Green Party firmly believes that there should be a national childcare plan. Studies have shown that workplace childcare increases productivity and allows families to do their job, parents to do their job better. It reduces the number of sick days that are used. So a combination of a national childcare plan that's supportive of workplace childcare and obviously a parent's right to choose how their children are going to be looked after during the day are critical aspects of any plan that goes forward.
Okay. And land claims, we wanted to ask you a little bit about your thoughts on that. What do you think is the biggest thing that's holding back the land claims process in this territory? I know this is like a very general question on a very complex issue, but we thought we'd narrow it down. If you could say if there's one thing that you think is holding back land claim resolution and implementation of the territory, what would that be?
Well, I just want to start by saying I know the negotiators on both sides are working really, really hard to get these claims settled. I think one of the things both sides have to realize is you're not going to get everything that you want out of this. And the longer that these claims go unsettled, the more expensive it is on both sides. The more expensive it is for the federal government in terms of how much they're going to end up paying out, and the more expensive it is on the sides of Aboriginal groups because they're not getting that funding and those rights that they're entitled to. So I think that the federal government really needs to step up and kind of lead by example in being more flexible and working to settle these claims in a timely and fair manner.
Okay. Sorry. I'm going to ask this the way that Jocelyn and I wrote it. Would you be prepared to pony up the dough for a road between Tucken and Nuvik?
I think the federal government needs to be taking the lead in infrastructure building in the Northwest Territories, specifically roads. We need them built, we need them paved. There's roads that have been on the books for 40 years that are still not completed. It's a federal responsibility to build roads anyway. And in terms of other infrastructure, we need high-speed internet, we need water treatment plants, we need cell coverage in the communities so that everybody in the Northwest Territories has the same opportunities as somebody living in Yellowknife, as somebody who's living in the South.
Okay. And this is my final question. You were really succinct. Holy cow. So, you're blowing out the candles on your birthday cake. What's your wish for the territory? I know you're not supposed to tell that, but...
My wish for the territory. My wish for the territory is for whoever gets elected in this election to go to Ottawa and work for the best interests of the Northwest Territories. We need to be working with other rural and northern MPs because they have the exact same issues that we have in terms of infrastructure, in terms of social spending. So if we can get together with 100, 150 other northern and rural MPs, then those issues are going to come to the forefront in Ottawa. So I also wish that everybody just get informed about what your candidates stand for, what they're saying they're going to do for you, and get out there and vote, especially the youth. The youth needs to become more engaged in politics. I know you think it's boring and whatnot, but You wouldn't let your grandparents choose who you date. Would you let them choose your government?
All right, good point. Okay,